See, it's a good team.
Episode of Chart Talk with Jake and myself. Today we'll be going over market outlook, member ideas, good for bad trade, as well as book of the week. Can I get it started with the market outlook?
Yeah, let's jump in. Yeah, all right. So today we had a big day, big trend breaking day. You know, it remains to be seen whether we're still in this uptrend or not. Well, technically, we're still in this macro uptrend, but we saw a trend breaking day with a 3% down day. Just not gap and go to the downside, but gap. It tried to recover off the open, but we kind of sold off to the end of the day. Not much of a recovery, really. So I anticipate this chart talk to be a lot different than the most recent ones. A lot of charts are broken right now, so it's going to, for the next week or two, I would anticipate it to be more of a day trader's market where, the short time frames will pay off more than the long time frames. I'm not jumping into any swing trades right off the bat. I'm going to kind of wait till the dust settles in this market. We don't really often see 3% down days. So I think we only have one or two last year and then one in the year before that. So, when something like that happens, you kind of got to let the dust settle and see where the strength lies, things of that nature. But I'm definitely not pounding the keys right now like I was the past 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you can pull up the SPY real quick, this is something I was touching upon yesterday in the big picture, and it's pretty much kind of doing that similarly. If we look at the SPY and you drew a line under 320, and then say one at highs 340, that's kind of the new range that we're in. Again, given this big gap down, we didn't have to go through a lot of that pain of us pulling back and just that sharp move today, where we probably have to expect 320 to break. But it seems like we're going to be in this new range bound, market where
Right.
We've had big up move, and now we're starting to get into what should be kind of a range bound market.
Right.
With that being said, we've been so used to just buying up, buying breakouts, buying on the way up and trailing, where now we're kind of shifting towards that buying up off of support and almost not like this today, but being willing to buy up off support broadly than when 9:30 this morning was freaking out, when really, again, not saying at 9:30 was something to buy, but these are usually those opportunities where if you can find those setups up off of support are much better buys than just trying to blindly sell down here at lows.
Yeah.
And so that's the shift I think we're going to be starting to see.
Yeah, well, one thing I do want to say, though, if you do have a smaller time frame and you're looking – so we're down 3% coming into the day. You can't look to short. You can maybe look to short a pop, but it's – we finished the day down a little over 3%, after we didn't we recovered a little bit. But so if you look to short that first move, that is the biggest sucker's play. So if you're going to day trade off the open and we have a 3% gap down, you have to look to buy that move and then sell into the pop. Just from it, that's just day trading 101. You have to do the opposite. You can't look. They took the move away, the short. We're already down 3%. We rarely see 3% down days, so you have to factor that into your mind. In the right off the open, you have to be looking to either buy that first move and then sell into the pop, or just do absolutely nothing. You can't look to short when already down 3%.
Yeah, I think even for a lot of the guys, if you, for today's example, if you just overslept and you woke up at 10:30 and checked most of your names, most names that did gap down, most started to feel, like you said, started to fill that gap upwards.
Right.
Where some names completely filled them. Where if you didn't even watch names, you wouldn't have known that this, today was really that bad.
Right.
So it really just comes down to, again, when everyone's freaking out, because we haven't seen this in so long, we have to also remember that we have had almost a year and a half or a year and a quarter now of just very easy upward moves where 3% down day, we're going to have more of these. We'll have days that are up.
No, well, I mean, what people get lost in, everyone has such a short memory with the market. We were in a choppy, range-bound market. You were calling that for 2 years, 2018 and all of 2019. I mean, 2019 had that great run, but when you couple the years together, it was really just a chop fest, and it was a macro bull flag. Then we got that 4-month breakout, and now we're kind of getting that retest action. It's all working out perfectly from a technical perspective. It's just that, when everyone's P&Ls are on the line and things like that, you tend to get much more emotional. So, I would, as you said, range-bound market, I would definitely expect much more of that, much more volatility, much more the short-term moves than, the macro the Microsoft 6-month breakout, things like that. You're not going to see as much once you get that trend breaker. So I think you just got to have in the back of your head, an idea of what the macro picture is looking like. We got that 4-month breakout where we went straight up, and now we're starting to see that pull in. So it's like, take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit. It's ebbs and flows of the market.
No, completely agree. I think with that we could jump into some of the member ideas.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to need some time, but go on.
All right. So first we got Roberto looking at his question was Triple M. Triple M up through 156.
Hold on. You're up to 156. I don't really. Is there like a massive support here?
No.
Nah. Really. I mean, that's just a very weak name. That's not really what I'm gravitating towards right now. That's completely in a void. Just a weak name, downtrending. There's nothing bullish to this chart in this chart about me. If this sees some crazy buying, like some cataclysmic buying up this support, then that changes. But I mean, we just saw a weak name in a bear flag have follow through action today. There's nothing bullish about that.
Yeah. The second part of his question was he was thinking about it long term.
Oh, that changes everything. I mean, yeah, I mean, theoretically in these environments is when you start to see that pull in is when you want to buy, the value stocks. Triple M is a complete value stock. We're not going to see that go anywhere in the next 10 years. So theoretically, yes, I guess for the long term it makes sense to buy, start or dollar cost average in this area. But I would definitely think it sees more downside in the near term. If his time frame is 5 years, then yeah, it's probably a buy. But if it's I'm thinking long term, but then tomorrow I'm checking the price on it, then it's not a buy at all.
Yeah.
How many times in the last two months have we seen people say this is a long term buy for the next 2 years, and then the first downtick,
That was where I was going to go with the question where I don't know about you, but I've never had a name where I'm like I'm holding like this is going to hold things forever. It's usually you're in it and then it continues to work.
Right.
And even holding for 4 or 6 months is hard enough in itself. Where
right.
Usually if it's the opening question is this is going to be long term, it's in my opinion 9 out of 10 it's a dumb idea because you're never going to hold it. Last week we saw it with AMD, we saw it with BDE with Energy, we saw guys with Yeti. As soon as they mentioned long-term hold, they had 48 hours and they were out of the name.
Well, it's just like these guys. Generally, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but in general, I want to hold this for the next 5 years, but they've been in the market for 6 months. It's like how can you've only been alive for 6 months? How can you be thinking 5 years down the line? Yeah. But that just comes with territory. New trader questions. This one, I don't think it's terrible if his time frame is 5 years, but it's got to be actually 5 years.
Yeah. And then next up, he was doing this EA through 110.
Oh, I'm still long this one. Yeah, in time, this could be good. I mean, we all bought this at 100, and I'm just still in it. I haven't done really anything with it. But through that 110, it could continue to rise out of the base. But with today's action, that trade's not going to come for a little bit. So just keep an eye on it. If it flags below this 110 for a few weeks, then I say absolutely.
Next up, we got Daniel's looking at DGX through 113.
DGX. Yeah, this isn't a bad chart. I mean, we just saw the market come in from highs, so I don't see this breaking out. So it's kind of tough to say this is a buy up here because we have a much greater likelihood of this failing at this resistance level than breaking off into new highs and starting a 5-month rally. And you have to factor in that from this mid-April, April 24th until today, it's just kind of risen right into this resistance area. So that's not something. If it flagged right underneath this resistance area for 3 months, that would change it. But it kind of rose too quickly into that resistance area to expect more upside. So I'm going to personally say this is a pass.
Yeah. Next, we got Alex Smith. You got a crack out of the first name. CBOE, Global Markets.
It's so funny.
Yeah. I mean, technically.
It looks good. I mean, this looks good.
Yeah.
It's got a nice little cereal bowl. A little curve line. Nice little cereal bowl. This is a really nice base. So technically, this is the best chart we've seen by far. I have no problems with this. This is nice.
All right. And then next we got VCEL through 19.
This is such a sick chart, but it has earnings like today. When our earnings. Yeah, February 25th. I saw this yesterday on my weekend research. I was like, oh, this is it, and then it's like, oh, fucking earnings. So I mean, earnings are going to take this trade away. But technically, like at this moment in time, this is an amazing technical chart for a breakout. So study this chart and see why it's so good. But earnings, this move is all dependent on earnings tomorrow.
Last one
Oh
was.
shit! Hold on.
Uh,
Hey. I stepped on my headphone plug. All right, we're back. All right.
so
Okay.
next one was Ping through 27.
Nah. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. Adam Rapp called this Ping out, and I took it all off into strength. Hindsight is 2020. It's all luck now. I could have been giving up some good gains, but I had some P&L to make up for. Technically, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look terrible because the way it recovered today when the broad market didn't do much, it's just such a high beta name. I'm iffy on this. It could work out. These high beta names are really tough in this environment. I think it's okay. It's okay, worth a shot, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm not super excited about it, but it did recover and it could work out. So, I can't be too mad at it.
All right. Next we got Wolvert. He's looking at AXSM in wedging up through 94 is where he's looking.
AXSM, huh? It's a huge gap up. It's got to make up for.
Mm-hmm.
These names are always tough because it came from 30, then it made a move to 40, and then it quickly went to 80 and doubled up. So it's really tough to buy this name right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna personally say it needs more time. I would just hate to take a loser in something that's up, 120% year to date.
Yeah. The second part of his question was like he's looking to buy 94, and he was saying the real risk is versus like 86, 88. So you're risking $6, $7, $8 in a name like this.
Right.
It's a lot of risk.
Do you think it's gonna make a 40% move up from here to achieve that risk reward that you need to? It just becomes too tough a trade to have that risk reward equation in your favor.
Then it sounds like a pass.
Yeah, it sounds like a pass.
But good chart, just
No, yeah, I mean, it reminds me of this RETA chart, the RETA, where it had such a sick base at 100 and then makes this huge move. And then, we were kind of looking to buy it after it did that 4 months of consolidation. But that's kind of the consolidation you need to see. And it still didn't really work out too great. These trades are tough. They're sexy, but they're tough to me.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got Golem's looking at NCVR.
NVCR. Yeah, through that massive level. I mean, they have earnings coming up this week, too. I'm guessing this is what he meant. They have earnings February 27th. In time, through this 98 level is going to be an absolutely sick trade. Definitely the top of my list for, like, macro charts I'm keeping my eye on. But right now, is he looking to buy this up through 85?
He was looking at the 99, like that major.
Okay, yeah. But if they didn't have earnings, it could be an interesting prospect that's holding this trend line, that 85 off support. Did you see, Yeti? Yeti made a very, very kind of similar move where it opened up super weak today, and I was looking at it, I was like, if this breaks this trend line down, like this thing is fucking toast. But it, it ripped up off support as all it's done. So kind of similar action there in that MVCR, but I definitely have my eyes on that 98 level in time.
Yeah,
Just
this would be one if there wasn't earnings. Yeah, right. If earnings were out of the way, this is one where we'd be looking to buy up through. If we want to nibble in it, like buy up through 85 versus 80, buy 88, buy 92, and then you kind of build into that much bigger level.
Right.
But again, with earnings, you got to give it a pass.
Yeah.
And then the next one was NTRA through 38. Another healthcare name.
Oh, I like this. Let me see the volume. Volume's okay for the name. I don't even know this chart. This is a really nice chart. I like the recovery today. I like the upper level bull flag. I like the wedging action. I have nothing. I love healthcare names right now. Oh wait, no, healthcare sold off like a motherfucker today. UNH, I was just thinking. They're saying because Bernie Sanders won the Nevada primaries by such a large gap that healthcares are getting spooked a little bit because he wants free healthcare for all. But what was it, NTRA? I mean, the chart,
Yeah.
it's all in the price action. This chart looks good. Above that, if we can get above that 39 area, it definitely looks good.
All right. I mean, that wraps up some of the member ideas. We can jump into some of the questions off our Instagram page. I got a couple
Okay,
of
my
ones.
favorite part.
So we got Patrick King Photos asks, why don't we trade options?
It's like, why don't we trade off 1 minute charts? Um, your prospect of failing is so much greater than trading stocks and giving yourself, so often in option trades, you can be right with the movement, but wrong with the option. Whereas, let's say I'm looking at this NTRA, I buy these 40 calls, it goes to 40, but the time value sucked all the premium out of the trade. So I want the odds and the math as much on my side as I can. I don't have any problem with waiting for the long term payoffs of trading stock and things of that nature. It's just it's higher risk in an already very risky job. So I don't need that added
I always say
risk. Go on.
I always say like we own our investments. We don't rent them. You're buying an option, you can't afford to buy the shares, so you're trying to buy
Right.
what you can afford. And again, I go in a lot of these like Facebook groups just to kind of see
See the disasters.
kind of the disasters that go on, and it's just you see all these new traders where they don't know how to trade a stock, but they want to immediately jump to trading options.
Right.
And it's like if you're building a home, they want to put the roof on the home before the foundation. And it's like it's never going to work.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, they just see the
yeah, I
sexy
just
shit
feel
on Instagram. The guys who have, they have the 5K option that goes to 100K, that one off time, and then they all want to trade options. It's all facade. It's it's all bullshit.
The best I've seen though recently is like on Robinhood with these guys buying.
the infinite leverage.
No. They're
Oh,
buying
that's my
penny
favorite.
stock options.
Oh
So
my god.
there'll be like a 25-cent name, and they're buying like a call that's the equivalent of like 10 cents a share. So it's
Oh my
like
God.
you can't afford 100 shares of a 25-cent stock, so you're renting it for 10 cents a share, and it's like it's just that's a crazy thing I've seen. It's
Insanity.
just,
If you look
most,
at if you look at the greatest stock traders of all time, they're all trading stock and building their accounts over the long haul until they can really put the risk on and run it. You very rarely see. You look at all the hedge fund market wizards. You look at all the greatest traders of all time. They're not trading options. It's just the fact of the matter. I mean, some very few and far between make it trading options. If you do, kudos to you. But I want to put myself in the most profitable and the best position possible to win. So it's simple as that.
that the tricky part is that a lot of these guys they'll see the 100% gain and think that's great, but their risk really is 100%. When you're
Yeah.
wrong, in an option you're losing easily 50%, more than likely 80 to 90 because usually they're expiring worthless. So
I
you really-
never, ever on Instagram and all these pages see 500% winners on options.
Yeah.
It's always 250%.
and that's where it's like those bets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
I'm
bet.
risking 30. I
So
made
it's-
100K, but I'm risking 40K, And like, that's the
Yeah.
sickest trade ever. Whereas we have 5-to-1 winners all the time because we don't have time working against us as an option does.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Pat OLPZ asked again another one of these dumb money questions. What's the best platform to trade with?
I mean, I personally use interactive brokers. I mean, I use eSignal for charting. It doesn't fucking matter. It's whatever you're comfortable with. They're all the same at the end of the day. They all have the same features. It's personal preference. It's what's your favorite cookie? Mine's chocolate chip. What's yours?
Yeah.
Sugar.
Same here.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's all personal preference. They're all gonna have the same features at the end of the day. If you can't trade, you can't trade. If you can trade, you can trade. And platform's not
Okay.
gonna make too big a difference.
Could not agree more. Next up, we got Jameson _ Christ. He's looking at BIIB.
Oh man, this Biogen. Yeah, this is So I've been looking at this chart a lot, and whenever it has these huge candles, where all right, so back in October, November, it was like 200 and it ran to 300 on some drug news, and now and then a few weeks ago, it had another one of those crazy moves. Those names are if you're not in it before that crazy move, it becomes such a difficult trade after the fact because you look at this, before today's action, you look at this, you're like, oh, such a tight flag, but really, it's not really a tight flag. It's not like the price action has been there for weeks or months, really defending those levels. So it becomes a chop fest, in my experience. If you look at its most recent flag, absolute chop fest until whatever news hit, and now this flag chop fest again until the next news piece. So I mean, if you're not in it before the good news happens, don't. I recommend just avoiding these names because it looks a lot sexier than it is. I've gotten chopped up in so many of these biotechs in my career, like thinking I'm in a tight flag when it's really just, as I said, a chop fest.
Yeah. Let's see. Next, we got Daniel LUYYB. He asked, "How do you pick up stocks from support?"
So I mean, you want to see.
I got a little example if you want me to
Yeah,
jump in.
what example? I was going to type up Amazon. It's tougher to see.
I have one. I have one in Travelers TRV.
Which one? Where is it?
So if you draw like I guess a horizontal line above 138 and then one below like 132, to kind of put it in like in that range.
All right.
So for this, we can see if you had a line over 132, see going back to November, the stock's kind of been supporting that area, and it's had resistance at like 138. That's kind of been the range it's been in, where for the most part we've been looking to buy 138 and buy resistance. But if we want to buy it up off support, we see it recently kind of pulls back into 132. Can't really get down there. You see a little doji at lows, and then for us, we look to buy above that doji, like the high of that day, so we can buy back up off of support. A lot of new traders try to buy. Yeah. So a lot of new traders try to buy into support and try to be perfect. If you think of like that January 31st where it kind of broke down through 132, those are typically days that we see like new traders who want to be perfect and have like a limit buy order in that 132, and they just buy on their way down and get pushed through and they just end up selling lower. We rather see it kind of hold or respect that level of support, and then we look to buy it back up. So like in this example, I bought back up through like 134 half, this is on Friday, versus that 132 to then be in. If this move wants to continue back to 138, I'll have stock from down here, and I can act at 138, but still have a much better cost basis than trying to perfectly buy 132, which I wouldn't really want to be buying perfect area of support.
I got another quick example is Amazon, that base that you bought, that you were able to hold into earnings. You want to see stocks proving that they're going to hold support. You don't want to buy the first test of support. You can see this Amazon here in this area where it holds support, and then you want to buy on the way up off of support. You don't want to buy down into that. You want it to prove that it's holding support, and then buy on the way up from there. But two good examples right there.
Yeah. And I think in one last one, again, it's still setting up. It hasn't broken out, hasn't broken down. Is this AZO? Again, this is an name that I didn't necessarily buy off of support. I bought up versus it. Again, I was buying up through like 170 versus 140. And now this is a name where today,
yeah, I know what you mean. Right.
Yeah, the market. Yeah. So again, didn't break out, but buying it versus that support area. I don't want to be buying 140. If this AZO gets down to 140 and it's getting back to say tomorrow, it's more like going to break and I'll be getting out of this trade. But that's not the time that I want to be buying this because it's just going to be verified and breaking down. I want to be buying up through 170, up through 180 versus that area support. I don't want to be the hero trying to catch that perfect price. And when you do, related to support, it typically goes lower.
Yeah.
So hopefully those are a couple of examples to help you with that. I think with that we could jump into good trade, bad trade.
Yeah, I had a pretty good week last week. I only really had this. So when we had that warning shot in the SPY last week, I had a bunch of pretty new trades going on that were all break even, and I just I got out of them because I was late to the move. I felt it ended up being kind of lucky thing, and then I just took profits in this IIPR. And here's the trade where it turned this 200-day simple moving average. Maybe the most important long-term moving average, creates a little flag on it. Once it turned to support, I bought on the way up 93 versus 91, and then I sold. Started selling this 102, sold 104, sold some 106s, and then I got out fully on Thursday when we saw the warning shots. I went to cash. It worked out this time, but that's something where I could have been getting shaken out of a bigger move, but I'm okay with that because it works for my time frame. So that's really all I got. It ended up being lucky because the market sold off and we walked into a huge gap down. But I could have gotten shaken out of good stock, but that's a decision I made and I was comfortable with making. So I have no regrets, obviously, now that it worked out. But what do you got?
Let's see. We already kind of talked about the AZO. We can do this IDXX. This is going to be a bad trade. we could see that 290. You draw a horizontal line. It's
Massive
been
level.
massive. We've seen it tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was the sixth time when I bought it. Broke out that day, came right back. Now it's kind of in, pull back 3 days pretty hard, kind of near the support area that the stock is, has respected for some time. I'm still in it. I'll look to buy probably up above probably today's high.
275. Yeah.
Yeah, just buying up versus whatever lows. If it keeps, trailing back down, I'll be in it for a little bit. So that was definitely the bad trade. And then the other one was this PFPT. And this is one.
Oh, I could talk about this one too. I took a loss in this.
Yeah. So this is, I'm still in it, but this, we talk about trying to cheat a level. We all knew the level was 130, 132, but we liked it, and we tried to get in a little bit earlier.
So
I bought 128.
But here's the thing. I bought that 128 with you, and out of all the losses, I had a little losing streak, and out of all the losses, this is like, this is one that if it worked out, we would have called it a meatball. Because we would have said it's a level before a level, which we love, and it consolidated nicely. It turned that 125 into new support. And we bought that 128, and it came back right at us. I don't think that's a bad loss at all. I think that's a good loss, if anything. That's a trade I want to take where it's like, it's this huge macro level. It has a really tight flag underneath the chart, underneath the macro level, where it's giving us a tight entry, 128 versus 125. I don't see that as a bad loss. I think that's a good loss, if anything. If I could take this trade 10 times out of 10, I probably would. I just think it didn't work out, and that's okay. It falls within my system of setup. So, I see what you're saying, where you're like, we cheating a level, but is it really cheating a level when it really consolidates underneath it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm still in it, and I have an order to buy above 122.
Yeah.
That was just an example of like when people would talk about like when we want to buy like 05s above the figure and people want to cheat, and that was just kind of an example relative to trying to sneak in.
No, I know. I was just looking at my trades over the weekend. I took a fat loss in this, but I don't think I could be mad at that loss. I mean, I have a much shorter time frame than you, so I bought this 128 versus 125, and I was out the same day. It was awful price action. It got us in, it popped, and then just completely reversed in my face, and I took a loss. But I don't really see that as a bad loss personally. I think that trade, if it works out, I would have said like, this was the meatball that everyone should have taken because it has that macro level and then the little level before the level with the consolidation. So I wasn't too, losses happen. We're professional losers in this game. So for me personally, I don't see that as too bad a loss.
Yeah. So I think with that, I think we could touch on, three of the main names that, again, a lot of the newer traders have been asking us about. So first we'll start off with this space.
Space, Tesla. What's the third one?
AMD.
Okay. All right.
There's just those names that just keep coming up, so I figured we can
of course.
A little quick little
all right, so
outlook on space.
Yeah, I mean space. You have nothing to do. So a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, right before the Bitcoin bubble burst, I sent out an email, and it was literally the price action we're seeing in space right now, where it's like small ranges on the daily when it's really not known. It starts to break out, and you see the daily ranges get a bit wider. You see the volume increase because more eyes are getting on the stock. And then it goes the parabolic move where it becomes this hyped media name. This is unsustainable price action. It just can't sustain this price action for long. Maybe it'll have another pop in it, but eventually the bubble has to get burst and it has to consolidate. That's just technical trading and price action. I didn't have any dog in the Bitcoin fight. It was just like, this is unsustainable. And this is the same thing I'm thinking of space right here. But, what do you have to say about this?
No, it was the same thing. It was just, a lot of people like wanting to buy it up here. And it's like, if you were buying it through 20, great. If you had it below 20, even better. But just like we saw in a lot of these things, they move 100%. Even if you think about LK, LK, we bought 22, went to 50, went up 100%. And in a couple of days,
boom,
basically reversed that entire move.
Yeah.
And if you pull the chart over, when it gets to 50, everyone and their mother thinks it's going to 100.
Right.
Then a month later, they're like, oh my God, they reversed the entire move. And there's really nothing different from
this
when
space chart. They want to become long-term buyers, right, of space. Yeah. It's the same story every time. We get one of these parabolic stocks every 3-4 months. They get to the news once they have their 100% move already and the move is done. And then you get all the rookies trying to buy it for the long term. It's just rookie shit.
Yeah, like you said, Tesla before you went to Japan, you were calling Tesla at 600 going to 1,000. It went to basically 950.
Yeah, as a joke.
Yeah, basically
But it
did.
did that in 4 days.
Yeah.
Ugh,
That's what this
sickness.
space. It's like in a month, there's no reason why this couldn't be back down to like the low 20s, and you
Oh,
got people buying up here losing 30, 40%
nuts.
on just a hope and a whim.
Yeah.
Um, Again, Tesla, crazy move. That the last 3 days getting back to 950, I think that was the gift of all gifts for people to kind of take stuff off.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's like
Just
150 to 1,000 in less than a year. You
yeah,
gotta.
it's just unsustainable. It has to consolidate. It has to, let all the moving averages catch up. It has to go. It's going to be in such a wide range. It's the new range is now 970 to 600, and it's just going to gyrate between that area. It's going to be on the news every single fucking night until during this little, because it has to. The trading range right now is 700 to 950. So it's just going to stay in that range for a little bit. 99% chance of that. And it's going to be a story stock every night now. If you weren't in it, if you didn't catch the big move, it's not worth taking a loss in.
Yeah, no, I fully agree.
Sorry.
I even have people on my side where they were like, I don't know what to do up here at 900. Like I have too much gains, and it's like, well, would you rather sell it at 900 or would you rather wait a year and sell it at 5?
Oh
Like,
my God.
what would you rather? What do you want to do? And then when you put it that way, like, rather
I don't know what to do here at 900. I'm up fucking 300%.
Yeah. Like, well, what more do you want from this
Yeah.
stock? Like, there's no no one's ever like excited. It's like, well, it could go to 1,000. It's like, and it could go back to 500. Like,
Right.
what do you want? Okay, so I think with that we can jump into topic of the week.
Yeah, I mean, this becomes a very reactionary market once that trend breaks in the SPY, and charts become less important as they're much more emotional now. But I think I'm going to be focusing on this Amazon. I think we this macro 2000 area. If we recover right now, this one will explode. I think this is the first one to recover. I think us getting a chance at this at 2000 and even maybe lower in the next few weeks is going to be a long-term gift. That's really what I'm focused on. I'm going to see where this Microsoft pulls back to. I'm focused on leaders that are coming down because of the market that have led us all the way up. Those are the names you want to be in for the long term, and those are the names that bounce back the quickest, usually, in my experience. Well, what do you got?
I think just a couple. Again, I don't think we'll be going this week. I think there's BBY through 92 in time looks really good, as well as this Honeywell through 182.
Yeah.
And our boy Clorox is banging on that 168.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh, strong name today, Clorox. This is my favorite macro chart out right now. This looks so good. It sucks that it's. I guess it's a good sign that it's strong in such a weak market today. But once this sustains a break through that 169 level, that thing is explosive.
Yeah. All right. So I think with that we can jump into book of the week.
All right, let's jump in.
Let's do it. All right, Jake, you want to get into the book of the week?
Yeah, I don't have mine on me, but my book of the week is Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Whenever I go through a little shitty trading streak or whatever it is, I dig into that book, find some chapters that are relevant, then kind of dig inside myself. It's known as the Trading Psychology Bible with among traders and things like that. It's like I've read this book countless times, and I still go back and find new things that are super relevant. So Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, one of the best trading books you'll ever read.
Nice. Yeah. I've heard that one in a while. I have Death of Ivan Ilyich. Again, I would not recommend to read this book. Horrible book. But, if you read a lot of books, I always feel like authors will plug other books in their books. Like you should read so-and-so. And it's just like a weird little game to kind of get books out. So this book was referred from The Power of Intention. This was like the guy's favorite book of his entire life. It's about this like court judge who eventually dies, and it goes through his like life story. But I just don't get it. It's just horrible. It's just like it's a miserable guy. Like there's nothing from this book that I've got where I'm like, wow, this is useful information. So
you read that and you said I should tell everyone to read this book. In my book of the week, this is what I should propose to everyone.
Well, I read your book actually, the White Dragon, in like 2 days. And
how good was that book?
It took me like half the book to realize that he was a white guy and he wasn't Asian. And
oh
I kept,
man, you got to know that going in. Yeah.
So then I like looked him up and like saw him and like the wife, and I was like, this guy's awesome.
The White Devil, yeah, yeah.
But he had some like dumb, like just some philosophies that just were so contradictory towards
Oh, yeah.
what he thought. It was like, what are you talking about? But
Oh, yeah,
other
he
than
can convince himself that he's right in any situation.
that,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, great. No, you don't take anything that he did without the Chinese. Everything he did with the Chinese, you take all those facts, and then
Yeah.
everything he did without them was like the worst.
yeah, it was just some of the stuff he did. He's like, well, like we're good for for Chinatown. It's like you were extorting half of the homeowner, like business owners. Like
Oh
how,
yeah. No, that's just the way it worked. They got protection from other gangs. It's like no, that's extortion. But
yeah. But that was a good one. That was a good fun read. This book, this one sucks.
yeah, so gravitate towards the fun ones.
All right, I think with that,
Yeah.
we wrap it up.
Wrap this thing up.
All right, guys. Till next week. Good luck. Happy trading.